What's up, YouTube? I'm Joel Wanasek. I'm a pro mixer and co-founder of NailTheMix.com, the coolest place to learn how to mix music on the internet if you're into that sort of thing. Today, we're going to break down the new Lil Yachty track here, Say Something. This is the talk of the town. I've had quite a few producers who are heavy hitters hit me up and be like, dude, you got to check this record out. It is sick. So let's break down this mix and I'm going to react to this track and let's see what all the hype is about. How hard does this hit?
How much you say it?
Okay, I'm immediately getting like a modern Led Zeppelin levy breaks kind of vibe to these drums. Listen to that delay hi-hat kind of thing. We've got very tape sounding drums. This is kind of a cool mix. And what I like about it is that it's like an aggressive chill mix. Now, what do I mean by aggressive? Okay, so pay attention to the drum sound. Kick and snare, hear it. Listen to how much saturation is on the kick and the snare. The snare especially. It sounds to me like digital tape saturation, slightly clipped. It's almost aggressive in terms of the amount of saturation. Like I said, it sounds kind of clipped, like you'd hear in like a rock or metal mix. Like it's aggressive, or like that MGK mix that I reviewed. You know what I mean? It's really, really, really distorted. And I love it. It's a cool sound. Listen to that. You can just hear that tail of that kick drum, like the resonance. It just has that saturated, distorted sound. All right, so that's what the whole mix is built on, coming right out of the gate. All right, so the mixer obviously wanted to establish a drum sound that was kind of unique and stuff like that. And like I said, to me, it sounds like a modern Led Zeppelin, where it's like, sonically speaking, they tried to take the drums and make them sound like old tape and like that levy breaks kind of thing, but like less reverb and less castle. You know what I mean? Like more modern, more upfront, more direct, but kind of get that same kind of vibe. So they've achieved that through like heavy usage of saturation. And the kick is by far the loudest thing in this mix. Now it's cool if you listen to the hi-hat, listen to how the kick and snare almost kind of creates like a little bit of a pumping effect on it, where it kind of brings the volume down and you can kind of hear it in the reverb tail of the hat. It's a cool thing. It kind of enhances the groove. It kind of just, it does that thing to it. It's almost like the mix kind of pumps and like ducks a little bit on those kick hits. All right, before we get to the bass, notice the synth. You just have this nice warm pad holding it down. It's not too bright. And that kick doesn't have a ton of sub in it. There's not a lot of like bottom end hit. You know, it's very mid-range. Vocals, super epic, soaring effects, reverb, delay, etc. It's very angelic and it's kind of in the background. It's kind of fun to watch the career evolution of an artist here like Lil Yachty. And did I just say little? Sorry, Lil. I can't get that one off my tongue. Don't beat me up here. It's kind of cool to see how he's evolved in his career and, you know, how he's chosen to make like a really artsy record. So what's interesting is normally like a vocal on a single, right, would be super forward. Not in this mix. Kick, snare, drums, synth and vocals just down here in the pocket. And what that does is it kind of gives it a chill groove. Like this to me is the kind of record you'd want to listen to subconsciously, if that makes sense. Like if you actively listen to it, you might not get it. But if you sit back and kind of just close your eyes, like while you're driving and just sit back and chill and just like listen to it in the background, like this is totally a vibe. This mix plays to that too. Okay, so let's move forward to here where we get some bass in here. All right, I love that like sub synth bass. It's very distorted. Again, very clipped and saturated. Listen to how much saturation's on that. Now what's dope is that the bottom end and the bass here, which is below the kick substantially, very easy to identify in this mix, is super loud, as loud as the kick drum. Massive, louder than the vocal even. What's cool about that is it just gives it this big groove. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I love about a lot of old mixes, like disco records and funk and stuff like that, is those 70s records from like the golden age of recording just have this really fat, warm, nice kind of like strong bottom end that just, it feels good. It's at all the mixes. I grew up in the 80s, so it's a little bit before my time, but in the 80s, I remember this hi-fi system my dad had from like the 70s, you know, like the old silver one. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're too young, don't worry about it. But if you know, you'll remember those like 80s, 70s hi-fi systems, man. And you'd have the big old speakers in like the front room and you just crank it up and You'd sit back, you'd listen to the record, and just you always had this massive, massive bottom end to it. So that's clearly what they're going for there, like a modern version of that. And I love that. I think that totally works for this mix, and it's sick. One thing I did want to mention going back, notice how the vocals, like going into this drop, are kind of in the same spot they were. So the bass comes in, but like nothing else has changed in the mix. It's very static again, which is a bold move because a lot of people would automate and do different types of dynamics and sections. And it's just like they're just keeping that vibe the whole way. The only thing new is the bass. All right, let's check this drop out here. Here we go. We get that new lead synth. We got those left-right vocals. Again, nothing in this mix is like insanely attention grabbing. You know what I mean? Like it's a chill vibe. It's kind of like an emotional thing. You know what I mean? Like this is obviously a relationship kind of song. And it's not something that if you were mixing this and you had a lot of things popping out of the speakers and like distracting your attention, that's not good for like when you're kind of just passively listening, sitting back and just chilling. You know, this is like, to me, it's like lights off, kind of sit back and listen to some music and just relax. You don't want a bunch of stuff jumping out and catching your attention and stuff like that. So I like how there's not a lot of those elements in the production, but not only that, it's not mixed in a way that anything is kind of necessarily distracting. I've been trying hard not to make sense. I just got so much. Yeah, I mean, it just keeps going. We'll call it the hook. You know, they kind of just drop that little high synth there. And again, it's not distractingly loud. It's very thin. There's plenty of space for it in this mix. It's very minimalist. Cool backing vocals with some reverb. There's whispers. Those are nice. Now, there is one other part of this song here where the dynamic changes. Let me see if I can find it here towards the end because there's a lot of video cutting in this. Now, that's a cool vibe change, right? Different kind of synth, same kind of reverb. You notice how they use the ambience and all of the vocal ambience and like the ambience on the synths all kind of match. It sounds like it's in the same space. They kind of have the same amount of like length and decay to them. And that just makes it all vibe and gel really nice. Okay. This is cool here because we get away from like the sub-synthesized kind of bass kind of sound, and here we're more of like a natural. Drums have come down in dynamic. They're not clipped up, right? And the bass is more natural sounding, and that's kind of in the background, a little bit behind the vocal. So it's a total different mood and a total different emotion. And here, where earlier they had the kick, snare, you know, that vibe, super loud and super pushing, totally back, and it's all synth and vocals up front. Yeah, this is a cool mix. I definitely like what they're doing here. I think this is pretty neat. I believe Tom Elmhirst mixed this. He did a great job. So this is one of the cooler mixes I've heard come out in a while. It's definitely different than what a lot of people are doing. And I love hearing something that's a little bit fresh and new. And the only thing that I can think that's kind of maybe in this vibe is, I want to say, Tame Impala. Maybe there's like a couple other things that are out, but at least that's what I'm aware of. So let me know what you think of this mix in the comments below and give me some other mixes that you want me to react to. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Joel Wanasek. If you're interested, I give a ton of like cool mixing things that you can check out and all that stuff. And check out nailthemix.com if you want to learn how to mix music. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.